Long ago, in the cold spaces between galaxies, something woke up. It was not alive like animals or birds. It did not breathe. It did not feel warmth or love, but it hunted, and it had been hunting for thousands of years. This was the Varna, race of silent, shadow-like beings who lived in ships shaped like knives. They moved without sound, without light. Their eyes were dark. Their hearts, if they had any, were made of ice. They did not fight wars. They did not want land or gold, or power. They wanted only one thing, life. They found weak worlds, planets, where people had not yet reached the stars. Worlds that still sent out weak radio signals, like cries into the dark. Music, voices, old TV shows. These signals were like breadcrumbs for the Varn. They followed them across space, like wolves following the scent of blood, and they found Earth, a small, blue planet, full of water, full of green forests, wide oceans, and cities that lit up at night like stars on the ground. Billions of people lived here, laughing, crying, building, loving, fighting, dreaming. To the Varn, it looked like a feast. No big weapons in space, no shields around the planet, no signs of war, just noise, chaos, emotion, weakness. Perfect, said Krail, the leader of the Varn fleet. His voice was low, like rocks grinding deep underground. He stood on the bridge of his ship, watching. Earth spins slowly on the screen. No defense, no speed, no power, just meat. Beside him, Zyra, his sharp-eyed officer, studied the data. Their bodies are soft. Their minds are full of fear and noise. They cry when hurt. They hug when scared. They are weak. Kraul clicked his jaw, a Varn laugh. Then we take them. We harvest. We leave nothing. They sent the first dropship. A black, jagged pod that fell from the sky like a dead star. It landed on a quiet island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No one saw it come. No alarm sounded, but it did not stay still. It opened. Black threads, thin and fast, spilled out. Like snakes, they dug into the sand, tasted the air, touched the trees, wrapped around birds and crabs. They were scanning, learning, mapping. Every living thing on the island became data. The Varn were building a plan, how to eat the whole planet. But they didn't know someone was watching. On the island of Oahu, far from the crash site, a woman sat in a small underground lab. Her name was Dr. Lena Cho. She was not a soldier. She was a scientist who studied life, strange viruses, deep-sea creatures, things that survived in the harshest places. She saw the signal first, a strange energy. Spike. Not natural. Not human-made. Mateo, she said, pressing the comes button, her voice calm but tight. You need to come, now. An hour later, Captain Mateo Reyes landed in a military drone. He was tall, with tired eyes and a steady hand. He had flown in space. He had seen danger. He knew when something was wrong. He walked through the jungle, then stopped. In front of him was not a crashed plane or a meteor. It was alive. Black threads pulsed in the ground like veins. The air felt thick. The birds had gone silent. Lena joined him. It's not just a ship. It's growing, learning. It scanned the animals. Now it's copying them. Mateo crouched, touched a thread. It moved. This isn't a visit, he said, voice low. This is an attack. Lena nodded. They think we're helpless. They think we're food. Mateo stood, looked at the sky, so blue, so peaceful. They don't know what we are. Back in the lab, Lena pulled up old files, stories, videos, photos, people who survived wars, doctors who stayed in hospitals during plagues, kids who climbed out of rubble after earthquakes, farmers who grew food in dry land, teachers who kept schools open in war zones. Humans don't give up. We don't run, we fight. Not just with guns, but with heart. Mateo opened a secure channel. This is Captain Reyes. Code Black. Repeat. code black. We are not alone, and they're not here to talk. Across the world, phones buzzed. Alarms sounded. Leaders met in secret rooms. Scientists woke up. Veterans checked their old gear. But there was no panic, no screaming, no chaos. Because when danger comes, humans don't always shout. Sometimes we just get to work. In Siberia, engineers and Inuit hunters set traps using heat from the earth. In the Sahara, soldiers painted fake cities with hot lamps to fool the enemy. In the Amazon, biologists mixed special fungi with the black threads and made them eat themselves. No one waited. No one asked who was in charge. They just did what humans do best: protect their home and high above. The Varn watched their scanners showed no big armies, no space weapons, no signs of war. But something was wrong. Their dropships failed. Their signals broke. Their perfect silent hunt was falling apart. Krail slammed his claw on the control panel. Impossible. They should be prey. Zyra stared at the data. They are not acting like prey. They are hunting back. For the first time in Varn history, a predator felt fear. They had come for easy meat. They had found a planet full of fire, and the fire had slain Lena Mateo, the farmer in Kenya, the teacher in Seoul, the kid in Rio who hacked their signal with a school laptop. They were not soldiers. They were human, and Earth was not weak. Earth was awake. The world didn't know it yet. But the war had already started. It wasn't on the news. There were no explosions in the sky, no alien ships hovering over cities. No one screamed in the streets. The sun still rose. Children still went to school. Markets still buzzed with life. But deep below the surface, in labs, bunkers, and hidden command centers, humanity was moving, like a lion pretending to sleep. Earth waited after the crash in the Pacific. Captain Mateo Reyes and Dr. Lena Show didn't waste time. They sent the data to every major country: China, Russia, Brazil, Kenya, India, France, Australia. Not through normal channels. Through old military codes, underground networks, even messages hidden in weather reports. The message was short: we are under attack. They are not human. They learn fast. We must be faster. And the world answered, not with armies, not with war cries, with silence. No panic, no fear broadcasted, no riots, just quiet, focused action. Because humans, when truly threatened, don't always shout. We planned. In Siberia, a team of Russian engineers and Inuit hunters worked together in the frozen north. They found a second Varn dropship buried under ice. It was still alive, sending out tiny signals, like a spider feeling its web. They didn't blow it up. They listened, using old seismic sensors. They discovered the Varn communicated through low vibrations, like whispers in the ground. So the team built a trap. They played fake signals, sounds of dying animals, false heat patterns, and when the Varn's threads reached out to investigate, the hunters flooded the area with superheated steam from geothermal vents. The black tendrils screamed, not with sound, but with a pulse of pain that showed on the sensors. Then they turned to ash. "First point to us," said Anya Petrov, the lead engineer, wiping snow from her face. "They think we're weak, but we know. This world, we've lived in ice, in deserts, in storms. This is our home." In the Sahara, French and Algerian soldiers worked under the burning sun. They found another nest of Varn filaments spreading through the sand like roots. It was mapping the land, learning where people lived, so they tricked it. They built fake towns, using heat lamps, old trucks, and infrared paint that looked alive on alien scanners. When the Varn sent a probe, the soldiers hit it with a powerful electromagnetic pulse, not from a weapon, but from a repaired old power station. The probe froze, then cracked open like an egg. Inside was not metal, not wires, living tissue. "It's not a machine," said Captain Amadou Diallo, holding a piece of the black flesh. It's alive, like a cancer. Back in Hawaii, Lena studied the samples. She looked at the Varn cells under the microscope. They were smart, adaptive, but they had one weakness. They hated chaos. They liked order, silence, control. Human life was the opposite. We are loud. We are messy. We love. We fight. We sing off-key. We cry at movies. We are unpredictable. They can't handle us, Lena said, excited. They scan. They copy. They plan. But we feel, and feeling doesn't follow rules. Matteo smiled. Then, we don't fight like soldiers. We fight like humans. Meanwhile, in the Amazon, a team of biologists and local guides tracked a third Varn nest deep in the jungle. The black threads were infecting trees, turning them into silent watchers. But the jungle had its own weapons. Dr. Rafael Silva, a Brazilian scientist, mixed a special fungus, one that grew in rotting wood, and ate other fungi. He modified it, trained it, like a dog. This isn't war, he said, injecting the glowing green spores into a Varn tendril. This is nature. The next morning, the entire nest was dead, eaten from the inside, turned into green mush. The team cheered, but Raphael didn't smile. They'll come back, bigger, stronger. And he was right. High above Earth, on the Varn command ship, Krail watched the reports. One by one, his dropships failed. His probes died. His signals were broken. This is not possible, he growled. They have no weapons in space, no shields, no power. Zyra stood beside him, her dark eyes scanning the data. They do not fight like warriors. They fight like survivors. Like animals protecting their young. Krail slammed his claw on the console. They are prey. Prey does not win. But Zyra was afraid. She saw something new in the data, not just resistance, but unity. Different nations, different people, different languages, all working together. Not for glory, not for power, for home. We were wrong, she whispered. They are not weak. They are connected. Back on Earth, Matteo stood on a cliff, watching the sunset. Lena joined him. They'll come again, with more ships, more strength. Matteo nodded. The silence didn't last. It couldn't, because Earth was not just fighting back with soldiers, scientists, or secret plans. Earth was waking up as one. The Varn thought they were hunting a divided world, a planet full of wars, borders, and noise. A place too busy arguing to notice danger. But when the threat became real, something changed. People listened, not to governments, not to leaders, but to each other. In a small village in Kenya, a farmer named Jomo found a strange black root growing near his well. It pulsed like a heartbeat. He didn't touch it. He called the local clinic. The nurse Amina took a photo and sent it through a farmer's network used to share crop tips. Within hours, scientists in Nairobi had it, and knew what it was. A Varn scout. By morning, the root was gone, burned under a controlled flame, the ashes buried deep in soul. A 14-year-old girl named Minji hacked into a school science project that used weather balloons. She added a small sensor to one, launched it at night, and caught a Varn signal drifting through the upper air, a quiet, cold pulse no human ear could hear. She recorded it, shared it online with a note. This is not Earth's voice. It's an intruder. By dawn, students in 10 countries were doing the same. In Rio, a retired teacher, Sue Carlos, stood in his classroom empty because school was out and wrote on the board in big, bold letters, "If you see something strange, tell your neighbor. Don't wait." He walked door to door, giving out printed flyers, not in fear, in hope, and slowly, quietly, the world began to see. Not just scientists, not just soldiers, mothers, kids, taxi drivers, fishermen, grandfathers, watching the sea. Because humans are not just smart. We notice, and when we care, we act high above, on the Varn command ship. Krail watched in growing anger. Reports from the surface, Zyra said, her voice low. More failures, more traps. They are not just resisting. They are organizing. Krall's claws tightened. They are animals. Animals do not organize across oceans. But they are not animals, Zyra said. They are connected. Through stories, through care, through something we do not have. She pulled up a screen, a live feed from Earth, a mother in Mumbai, singing a lullaby to her baby as black smoke curled in the distance, not from fire, but from a destroyed Varn probe. A group of kids in Norway building a fake alien base out of snow and wiring it with blinking lights to trick scanners. A fisherman in the Philippines dragging a strange black net from his boat and burning it on the beach, warning others with hand signals. And everywhere, messages, drawings, songs, we are watching. This is our home. You are not welcome. Krail stared. This is not war. This is madness. Zyra whispered, no, this is life. On Earth, the real plan began. Matteo and Lena knew they couldn't win by strength. The Varn ships were too strong, too fast, too alien, but they had something better. Time, unity, and heart. In a hidden base under the Nevada desert, scientists worked with veterans, hackers, and even musicians. They studied the Varn signals. Cold, precise, repeating the same patterns over and over. They don't improvise, said Dr. Eli Kim, a sound engineer. They don't change. They don't feel. Lena nodded. So we hit them with what they can't understand. Chaos. Matteo asked. Better, Lena said. Emotion. They built a weapon not from fire or steel, but from sound, a deep, vibrating pulse that carried not just energy, but meaning. A mix of human voices, a child laughing, a soldier saying goodbye, a crowd cheering, a song from a wedding in Ghana, a prayer from a temple in Kyoto. They called it the human frequency. It's not a weapon, Eli said. It's a voice. And if they're alive, Lena said, they'll feel it. Meanwhile, the Varn made their move. They sent the Harvester, a massive ship, darker than space, shaped like a jagged moon. It entered Earth's orbit slowly, silently, like a shadow falling across the sun. It began to scan, not just land, not just cities, every person. It mapped hearts, breathing, brainwaves. It searched for fear, for weakness, for the moment humans would break. But it found something else, courage, love, defiance, and something it had no code for. Hope. In a village in Ukraine, an old woman named Alina stood in her garden as the sky darkened. Her hands shook, but she didn't go inside. She lit a candle, then another. Then she sang an old folk song, passed down from her grandmother. Her neighbors saw the light. They came out. They lit candles too. They sang with her. In Tokyo, a subway worker played a recording of children laughing over the station speakers. In Cairo, a street artist painted a giant mural of Earth with hands from every race holding it up. In New York, a radio station played nothing but human voices. No music, no ads, just people talking, laughing, crying, saying, I'm still here. The Harvester hesitated. Its systems flickered, because it was built to harvest life. But it was not built to face what makes life worth living. Back in Nevada, Matteo looked at the screen. The Harvester is slowing. Its energy is unstable. Lena smiled. It's not breaking from our weapons. It's breaking from who we are. Matteo took a deep breath. They came for easy prey. He looked at the team. Scientists, soldiers, kids, dreamers. They found a planet that refuses to die. And far above, the stars held their breath. The Harvester hung in the sky like a curse. Dark, silent, huge, bigger than any city. It blocked the stars above Earth, casting long shadows across continents. Its surface pulsed with a cold blue light, like the heartbeat of something dead, pretending to live. On the Varn command ship, Krall stood at the core chamber, his claws gripping the edge of the control panel. His eyes burned with anger. "Begin conversion," he ordered. "Scan all life. Extract biomass. Turn this world into fuel." The machine obeyed. Beams of pale light shot down, not fire, not explosions, but pulling, like invisible hands reaching into forests, cities, oceans, grabbing the very essence of living things. Animals froze. Trees lost their color. People near the beams felt weak, dizzy, like something inside them was being sucked out. But they didn't scream. They fought back, in the Nevada bunker. Lena Cho watched the data flood in. "They're draining life energy," she said, voice tight. "Not killing, harvesting. Turning people into raw fuel." Mateo Reyes clenched his fists. "Then we don't give them silence. We give them noise." He turned to the team. "Activate the human frequency." Lights flashed. Machines hummed. Deep underground, powerful speakers built into fault lines, ocean floors, and mountain peaks powered on. This was no ordinary sound. This was the voice of Earth. Not one voice, not one language, but millions. A child laughing in Nairobi. A fisherman singing in Bengali as he rose at dawn. A choir in Rio singing. A hymn. A grandmother in Mongolia telling a story to her grandchild. A doctor in Paris saying, "You're going to be okay." A soldier in Canada whispering, "I miss you, Mom." A scientist in Tokyo laughing as her experiment works. All mixed, all amplified, all sent not through air, but through the planet itself. The human frequency wasn't music. It wasn't a weapon. It was a heartbeat, and it traveled through rock, water, and fire, faster than the Varn could understand. High above, the harvester shuddered. Its cold mechanical mind could not process the signal. It was not logical, not ordered. It had no pattern. It was full of joy, grief, love, pain. All at once. Chaos, but not random chaos. Meaningful chaos. The kind only humans carry. Inside the ship, the walls began to bleed black fluid. Not blood, not oil, living matter. The harvester was alive, a biomechanical creature built from captured life, and now, it was sick. Zyra ran to the core. "Krail, the signal, it's not attacking our systems, it's attacking our mind." Krail growled, "Shut it down, block the frequency." But the sound wasn't coming from space, it was coming from below, from the planet, from people on Earth. The wave grew, in villages, towns, cities. People knew. They felt the ground hum, the air vibrate, the silence break. And they joined. In India, a million voices sang a single-piece chant into phones, radios, megaphones. In Alaska, native drummers beat rhythms that had echoed for centuries, sending vibrations through frozen earth. In Egypt, 1,000 children stood on pyramids and screamed into the sky, "We are here." Even those in dark basements, injured, afraid, they whispered, they sang, they clapped. Because humans don't need weapons to fight. We have voice. And when one voice speaks, others answer. The harvester screamed not with sound, with light. Its surface cracked. Blue veins turned red. It twisted in orbit, like a beast. In pain, Krell fell to his knees. "What is this? What are they doing?" Zyra looked at the screen, a live feed from Earth. A mother holding her baby, singing. A boy drawing a picture of Earth, with a smile. An old man planting a tree, saying, "For the future." "This," Zyra said softly, "is what we never had." Krell roared. "They are weak, emotional, irrational." "Yes," Zyra whispered, "and that is why they are strong." In the Nevada bunker, alarms blared. "The harvester is destabilizing," Eli shouted. "Its core is overheating." Lena watched the screen. It's not the sound, it's the meaning. It can't handle feeling. It was built to harvest life, but it never knew life. Mateo smiled. "Then let's teach it." They boosted the signal, not louder, deeper. They played a recording, a simple one, A man named David, from London, recorded during a storm. His house had no power. His child was scared, so he sang just one verse of a lullaby. His voice cracked. He forgot the words, but he kept going. And at the end, his child said, "Daddy, I'm not afraid anymore." That moment, small, human, fragile, was sent into space, through the speakers. Through the ground, through the soul of the planet, and the harvester hung in orbit, still, silent, glowing a soft golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat. No beams, no scanning, no draining, it just watched. On Earth, dawn broke over the oceans. In Tokyo, a fisherman named Hiro stepped onto his boat, squinting at the sky. The shadow was gone. The air felt lighter. He dipped his hand into the sea, cold, real, alive. He smiled. In Nairobi, a little girl named Amina ran outside, her mother calling after her. She looked up, hands on her hips, and shouted, "You left, you left." Then she laughed and jumped into a puddle. In Rio, a street musician picked up his guitar and started to play. Not a war song, not a cry, but a samba. People came from their homes. They danced barefoot on broken pavement, hugging, crying, laughing. The fight wasn't over, but the fear was. Back in the Nevada bunker, the team sat in silence. Monitors flickered with data. The harvester's energy levels were stable. Its systems were inactive. It wasn't attacking. It wasn't leaving. It was just there. Lena Cho leaned back in her chair, tired but awake. Her hands trembled slightly. She hadn't slept in 3 days. "It's not broken," she said quietly. "It's thinking." Mateo stood by the window, looking up at the ceiling as if he could see through miles of rock and sky. "Maybe it's scared," he said. Eli Kim, the sound engineer, rubbed his eyes. "Or maybe it's listening." They played the last recording. Again the lullaby from London, the father's shaky voice, the child's whisper, "Daddy, I'm not afraid anymore." That small moment had done what bombs could not. It had reached something inside the machine, or the being that the Varn had turned into a weapon. Because maybe the harvester wasn't just a ship, maybe it was a prisoner. High above on the Varn command ship, tension burned like fire. Krail paced the dark chamber, his claws clicking against the floor. His body was rigid, his voice a growl. "This is weakness. We must destroy it. If it has been infected by their noise, then it must be erased." Zyra stood still, her eyes on the screen. "It is not infected, Krail. It is awake, awake. It is a machine, a tool." "No," she said, turning to him. "It was once one of us. A rebel. One who felt. One who questioned. The high mind punished it. Turned it into this. And now, it remembers what we forgot." Krail froze. "You dare speak against the high mind?" "I speak against blindness," Zyra said. "We harvest life because we fear it, because we cut out our own hearts long ago. But they, the humans, they carry theirs. Open, loud, unafraid." She pointed at Earth. "They do not hide their pain. They do not silence their joy. And when one falls, 1,000 rise to hold them." Her voice dropped. "We were wrong. We did not find weak prey. We found teachers." Krail didn't answer. He looked at the screen at a village in Nepal, where people lit butter lamps and prayed for peace. At a school in Canada, where kids drew pictures of Earth with smiling faces. At a hospital in Lagos, where doctors clapped for a patient who survived. Life. Not perfect, not quiet, but strong. And for the first time, in his cold, long life, Krail ached. On Earth, people began to come out. Not in armies, not with weapons, but with light. In New York, someone turned on the lights of the Empire State Building, not in red, not in blue, but in white. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower glowed like a star. In Cairo, the pyramids were lit with beams pointing to the sky, not in challenge, but in welcome. And everywhere, people did something small. a candle in a window, a flower placed on a broken wall, a hand held in silence. Because humans don't just fight, we heal, and we remember in the bunker. Lena received a signal, not from Earth, from space. A single pulse, simple, clear, not a word, but a feeling. Sadness, sadness, gratitude. Goodbye, the harvester, Eli whispered. It's sending a message. Mateo nodded. It's leaving. On screen, the golden light faded. Slowly, gently, the massive ship turned, not toward Earth, not toward the sun, but toward the deep dark between stars. It didn't explode, it didn't attack. It just drifted away, like a bird finally set free. And as it vanished into the void, one last pulse reached Earth. 3 words, carried on the wind, felt in the bones, heard in dreams. Thank you, humans. In a village in Ukraine, Alina stood in her garden, holding her candle. In Tokyo, Hiro played a quiet tune on a flute. In Nairobi, Amina blew bubbles into the air, watching them float up, 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 and far above. The stars, cold, ancient, silent, remembered. They had seen empires rise and fall, wars that burned galaxies, machines that ruled for millions of years. But this, a small, blue planet, weak by all rules of power, had faced a godlike hunter and won, not with fire, not with hate, but with love, and the universe. For the first time, felt something it had never known. Because they hunted for easy prey, and found Earth instead. The sky was quiet. No more beams. No more shadows. No strange lights or trembling ground. The harvester was gone, vanished into the deep black between stars, carrying its golden silence with it. But Earth didn't cheer, not yet, because the people knew, just because the storm had passed, didn't mean the danger was over. High above, the Varn command ship still floated in orbit, a jagged shadow against the moon. It hadn't moved, hadn't attacked, hadn't spoken. It just watched like a wolf that had tasted fire and didn't know whether to run or fight. In the underground bunker in Nevada, Lena Cho sat with her team, eyes on the main screen. Data scrolled silently, energy levels, movement, signals. The Varn ship was alive, but inactive. No weapons charged. No dropships launched. It's waiting, said Mateo Reyes, arms crossed, voice low. But for what? Eli Kim, the sound engineer, rubbed his tired eyes. Maybe it's scared. Maybe it saw what happened to the harvester and realized we're not easy meat. Lena shook her head. No, it's not fear. It's confusion. She pointed at the screen. Look at their signal pattern. It's not the same cold pulse we saw before. It's changing, slowing, like a mind trying to understand something it's never felt. Mateo frowned. You think they're thinking? I think, Lena said softly, they're learning. On the Varn ship, silence filled the command chamber. Kral stood at the central console, his tall, chitinous body rigid. His black eyes stared at the image of Earth blue, swirling with clouds, glowing with city lights, full of movement. Below, people were rebuilding. In Lagos, workers repaired a power station. In Bangkok, doctors treated those weakened by the harvest beams. In Santiago, children painted a giant mural on a broken wall, Earth held by hands of every color, with the words, "We did not break." Krail watched it all. He said nothing. Beside him, Zira studied the data. They do not punish the weak. They protect them. They do not conquer fear. They face it together. She turned to him. We were taught that emotion is weakness. That unity without control is chaos. But look at them. Their chaos holds them together. Krail finally spoke, his voice quieter than before. They should have fallen. Billions of soft bodies. No shields, no great weapons. Just noise and light and feeling. He paused. And yet, they stand. Syra placed a claw on the console. Maybe strength is not in armor. Maybe it is in the heart. Crawl did not answer, but for the first time, he did not argue. Back on Earth, something unexpected happened. A signal came, not from the Varn ship, but to it, weak, simple, sent from a small radio tower in Greenland. It was a recording, a woman's voice, calm and clear. She spoke in no known language, but the feeling was universal. She sang, not a war song, not a threat, a lullaby one, that mothers have sung for thousands of years, soft, slow, full of comfort. The signal reached the Varn ship inside. The lights flickered, not an alarm. In response, Zia listened. Her body, cold for centuries, trembled. That sound, she whispered. It is not attack. It is care. Kral stood frozen. He had never heard anything like it. No order, no command, no signal of war, just love. And it terrified him. Not because it was dangerous, but because it made him feel in the bunker. Lena smiled. We didn't send that. Mateo raised an eyebrow. Who did? She looked at the data. In Nuke, she said. She just wanted to say, you're not alone. Mateo let out a slow breath. That's not a weapon. That's a hand. Lena nodded. And sometimes, that's stronger. Above, the Varn ship moved. Not to attack. Not to flee. It turned. Slowly. Gracefully. It rotated until its long, blade-like front pointed away from Earth. Then, it lit its engines. Not in anger. Not in haste. But in silence. It began to leave. But, before it did, it sent one final signal. Short, simple, not in Varn language, not in code, in music, a single tone, deep, pure, like a bell in the dark. Then 3 words, translated through sound, felt in the bones of those who heard it. We see you, not as prey, not as enemies, as equals, on Earth. People felt it. In a hospital in Jakarta, a wounded man opened his eyes and smiled. In a village in Peru, an old woman looked up and whispered, they learned. In Oslo, a scientist cried, not from fear, but from hope, because humanity had not won by destroying. We had won by being, by singing, by caring, by refusing to hate. In Nevada, Mateo stood at the window, looking up. It's gone, Eli said. Mateo nodded. Yeah, but not because we beat them. Then why? Lena asked. He smiled. Because we showed them what it means to be alive. Silence fell. Then Lena said, do you think they'll come back? Mateo looked at the stars, cold, endless, full of secrets. Maybe, he said. But next time, they won't come to hunt. He paused. They'll come to learn. Outside, the wind blew soft over the desert. Somewhere, a child laughed. Somewhere, a song began. And high above, the stars remembered one truth, written not in fire, not in war, but in a single lullaby sent into the dark. 10 years passed. The world did not become perfect. There were still storms, still pain, still people who forgot how to care. But something had changed, not in the sky, not in machines, but in hearts. Because Earth had faced the dark and shown it, a lullaby, and the universe had listened. The Zen stayed, not as rulers, not as teachers, but as friends. They built no cities. They took no land. They lived quietly, in forests, by oceans, on quiet hills, sharing what they knew, learning what we were, and slowly, Earth began to reach back, not with warships, not with demands, but with messages. Every day, at exactly 7:07 p.m. Earth time, a signal was sent into space, the human frequency, a mix of voices, a child laughing in Nairobi, an old man praying in Kyoto, a choir singing in Cape Town, a doctor saying, "You're going to be okay," a soldier writing a letter, "I miss you, but I'm safe." No weapons, no threats, just one truth. We are here, we feel, we care, and across the stars, others began to answer. One night, a new signal reached Earth. It was weak, old, sent from a world near the edge of the galaxy. It showed a planet covered in metal, cold, gray, lifeless. Beings of steel and wire moved slowly, without sound. They had no eyes, no mouths, but they remembered. The message was simple. We were like the Varn we took. We harvested. We silenced. We saw your song. We saw the harvester turn gold. We stopped. We are learning to feel again. Thank you. No one cried harder than the veterans who had once fought in Earth's forgotten wars, because they knew the hardest battle is not against an enemy. It is against the cold inside yourself. And Earth had won that too. In a small school in Iceland, a teacher named Anna stood before her class. On the wall was a map of the galaxy, with glowing dots, each one a world that had heard Earth's voice. She asked the children, "What makes us strong?" A boy raised his hand. "Our weapons." She smiled. "We have none in space." A girl said, "Our smart machines?" "No," Anna said, "it's simpler." She played a recording, the lullaby from London, the father's shaky voice, the child's whisper, "Daddy, I'm not afraid anymore." "That," she said, "is our power. Not fire, not steel, but love. Even when we are scared, even when we hurt, even when the dark is watching." The children were silent. Then, one by one, they began to sing, high above. On a new station built at the edge of Earth's orbit, Matteo Rhea stood at the window. He was older now, hair gray, face lined with time, but his eyes were still sharp, still full of fire. Lena joined him, holding 2 cups of tea. "The Zen are leaving tomorrow," she said. He nodded. "They've taught us enough. Now it's our turn." She smiled. "To do what?" He looked at the stars. "To be the light we once needed." The next day, the Zen ship rose from the desert, glowing like a rising sun. People gathered not in fear, not in sadness, but in gratitude. Elra stepped forward, their mirror eyes reflecting the sky, the crowd, the child holding a drawing. "Thank you," they said. "You did not just save yourselves, you saved hope." Then they left, but not before giving Earth one final gift, a small, glowing sphere, not a weapon, not a machine, a seed. "It will grow," Elra said, "where kindness is needed." They placed it in the soil of the New Mexico desert. No one knew what would come of it, but they waited. Years later, a tree grew there, not like any on Earth. Its leaves shimmered like stars. Its roots glowed soft blue. At night, it hummed a quiet tone, like a lullaby. People came from all over the world to sit beneath it, to talk, to cry, to remember. They called it the first tree of the sky. And every year, on the anniversary of the Varn's retreat, Earth did not celebrate with fireworks, not with speeches, not with parades. We turned off the lights, and for 1 hour, the whole planet went quiet. No engines, no phones, no noise, no noise, just stars, just breath, just being. And at the end, from every city, every village, every ship at sea, a single voice, then another, then millions began to sing. The same lullaby, the same hope, the same fire, and far, far away, on a broken world, near a dying star. A cold machine once like the Varn heard the song, and for the first time in centuries, it remembered what it meant to be alive, because they hunted for easy prey, and found Earth instead, and Earth, small and fragile, with its broken hearts and loud love, had done the impossible, not by being the strongest, not by being the fastest, but by being human, and in the end, that was enough.